Hello everyone, today we're going over question 7 in paper 1 for the sample assessment material for further pure maths. Now, this is a question about graphing, and to study this kind of question you would look at topic 4 because that is the graphing part of the syllabus, if I'm not mistaken. Now, the first part of the question is asking us to evaluate the function for the values of x, 1, 2, and 3. The second part of the question is asking us to evaluate this function here. And the third part of a question has given us an equation we want to find. And normally for this type of thing, since this looks like too complicated an equation to graph, we will have to somehow manipulate this equation such that it is some linear line, as in y equals mx plus c form line, is equal to this function. And then we will draw the straight line on the graph, and the points of x for which it intersects will be the solution. Now, let's evaluate the values of the function for which it is appropriate. Now, it is easiest to use a table function on a calculator. However, since it's only 3 calculations, I suppose you could do it in any mode. I personally used the table mode, which is mode 3 from my Casio FX85 GT. So, when x is 1, we find that y is 3.828 and you must pay attention to the fact that give your answers to 2 decimal places. So 3.828 something 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 would round to 3.83. For 2 it would just be 5 because it's 2 to the power of 1 plus 1, which is just 2 to the power of 2, which is 4, and plus 1, so 2 is exactly 5. Then 3 evaluates to 6.65685 and that rounds to 6.66. So this question is quite difficult to mess up. Just ensure that you type in the function correctly into the calculator. So now we are plotting it on the graph here. So we know 0 is 3, 1 is 3.83, 2 is 5. Oh, my bad. This is drawn in at the wrong point. You must make sure to pay attention to the graphing scale, otherwise you'll make mistakes like these, which I know I do very often, too often indeed. And so we will replot this graph again, 2 to 5, so it's this point here, not that other point. 3 goes to 6.66 if I remember correctly, so that would be up around here. 4 goes to 9, so my mouse is on the line for 4. You should do this with a ruler to make sure you're plotting it at the right point, by the way. So if you do bring a ruler into the FP exam, that will help you greatly. So 4 goes to 9, and 5 goes to 12.3, which will be around here. Here, not here. So finally, you just want to draw the line of best fit through all of these points. And my drawing pad has run out of space, but that is okay. I will try. And then this is clearly not good enough, but I hope it gives you the right idea. Now, often there will be a mark for line passes through the points, so make sure you get that down. So we'll not use this line for evaluating the answer to our solution. We'll use the upper one here. So just pretend I've erased this bit. Take the time to redraw the line if you find it is not to your satisfaction, because the precision to which they expect you to find solutions by graphing is normally 0.1, 0.2 centimeters of space that can be sacrificed, so make sure it's correct as you can possibly make it. Now, By drawing a suitable straight line on the grid, obtain an estimate to 1 decimal place of the root of the equation log 4x minus 6 to the power of 2 minus x equals 2. Alright, so what I've noticed is that we need an x over 2 plus 1, and this is a minus x, and this is a 2, and the fact that this squared is just telling me, it's giving me a warning sign that I should try and divide this whole thing by 2, because this 2 can be moved to the outside here as part of the log rules. So we'll have 2 log 2 of 4x minus 6 minus x equals 2. Then divide both sides by 2. Log 2 4x minus 6 minus x over 2 equals 1. Add x over 2 to both sides to get x over 2 plus 1, because that is the exponent, and as seeing that we get rid of this, we can take the power of 2 of both sides and have this just be 4x minus 6 instead of log 2 something. So log 2 4x minus 6 equals x over 2 plus 1. Take 2 to the power of both sides, so 4x minus 6 is equal to 2 to the power of x over 2 plus 1. And finally, since this is just a plus 1 here, we can add 1 to both sides, and we get 4x minus 5 is equal to 2 to the power of x over 2 plus 1 plus 1. And since this straight line would be equal to our function that we've graphed already when this equation is true, we can use the straight line and the intersection points it has with this function in order to find the values of x for which this is true. In the interval 0 is less than x is less than or equal to 5, and so I will try and use like my tissue box to get a straight line for this, because I've not done many graphing questions before. I'm still trying to figure out how to do them properly, but I'll try my best. It's 4x minus 5, so the y-intercept is at minus 5. And then I suppose if we rise over run, Yep, rise over run, 1 would be equal to minus 1. Then I suppose it will intersect quite steeply. Alright, I will try my best to do this. Okay, it should be a bit steeper. Bit steeper still. Forgive me for taking so long. Okay, so we know it kind of goes in this direction. And then I suppose you will have better equipment during the exam. Just use your ruler, it's the easiest thing you can do. I am aware that the hardware I'm using to record this video is quite limiting in the types of questions it can do, but the point of this exercise is for you to know that the solution to the equation will be the intersection of these two lines, as we have proved here, because by manipulating this equation we get this equation, and for this equation to be true, this equation must be true. And so the intersection would be your answer. And that's like somewhere between 2 and 5. I'm not even going to try and be precise on that one, but use the ruler and perform the question correctly, and you should have no issues. Alright, so let's check the mark scheme to see if our methodology was correct. I have no doubts that our answer was probably wildly off because of the inaccuracy of my hardware, but we can still see if the method you use to try it would be correct. So, question 7. So, the values of y that we've gotten for x is 1, 2, and 3 were still correct. So 3.83, 5, 6.66. Alright, so all points plotted within an accuracy of half a square. You should make sure that this is the case. This is like a checklist for you. A smooth curve drawn through their points. So you must have the line pass exactly through where the cross is. I know that's not exactly through where the cross is. I personally had myself deducted a few marks on the math test when a line I drew was less than a single millimeter away from the intersection of an x. So make sure you are very diligent about this. And finally, manipulating this equation, well, I suppose this also works, but we spotted that we could divide by 2 first. And we got this. We took the power of 2 on both sides, and 4x minus 5 must be this equation. And line 4x minus 5 must be drawn on graph. So x is about 2.8. Alright, thank you for watching.